there's one thing that I've been told pretty much from the beginning of my start in automotive, and that's the only constant in the automotive business is change. And whether you make that applicable to the turnover in your store, to the way the models are refreshed or completely revised of vehicles, or whether you make that to your digital marketing strategy, it pretty much rings true throughout the business. But if you're trying to navigate that as a GM or as an owner, if you're trying to navigate that on your own, that's a recipe for disaster. And let me explain why. In no way am I saying that you're not smart enough or capable to understand the information. In no way am I saying that. But what I am saying is there are only a certain amount of days in the month, months in the year, hours in the day for you to be able to devote to making sure your business is successful before we even get started with any kind of marketing. For you to also have to navigate the digital landscape of what's going on in automotive with regards to Analytics 4 and AdWords and campaigns and the updates to Google Business Profile and the VLA update that was just announced and all these different things that go along with that. There's just no way that you're going to effectively be able to manage all that. So that's why there's such a market for not only education out there, but for digital marketing managers, for digital marketing consultants out there, is because there's definitely a need for that. There's definitely a need for assistance with that for automotive dealerships, especially since, we were kind of the last people to the digital marketing space. We got drug into it kicking and screaming. And I remember 26 years ago when it was talked about, websites were like literally a glimmering little thing on the horizon, and I was told, nobody will ever buy a car on a website. I remember that from the first Ford dealership I worked at. So going from there to here, I mean, how things have progressed, right? But where I'm going with this is it's okay as a general manager or as an owner to concentrate on the business at hand, the day-to-day, the inventory management, the management of your sales, of your desk managers, your finance managers, things like that. It's okay to handle parts, service, all that stuff. And then add yourself in, not an internet director. That's not who should be handling your digital marketing. It should be a dedicated digital marketing person. Now, if you're a smaller store and you think, well, wait a minute, Candace, I don't have the budget to handle that, there are a ton of consultants out there that can help you. How do I find a good one? That's usually the next question I get. So you have to ask the right questions. And if you're digitally minded, if you're tech savvy, if you're analytics, proficient, you can ask the right questions. But what if you're not? Okay, so recommendation number 1, you need to learn enough to be dangerous. And I know that's usually the advice that people don't give you, but the reason I'm giving you that advice is because, like your business, like you don't just give the keys over to the new car manager or the used car manager and say, here, I'm sure you're doing a fine job. You inspect their work, right? And because you've probably been there. You know what to expect, you know what to look for, you know where to find the holes and the gaps in the performance and the efforts that are putting out, that employees putting out. But if you don't know what to inspect with a digital marketing consultant or a digital marketing manager, you could be told a lot of different things. And I've seen stores be told a lot of different things that are ineffective, absolute blatant lies. So what I would recommend you do is, initially, I would carve out some time to get yourself just enough education to be dangerous. What I mean by that, if you have a Dealer 20 group that you participate in, absolutely ask in your Dealer 20 group, does anyone here have a digital marketing business consultant that they rely on, that they really trust, that's doing a very good job for them. Does anybody here have a digital marketing manager, maybe a third party, that can help me navigate through all these SEO, SEM, OTT, all these things that I need to know about digital marketing? That's number one. Number two, I would absolutely educate yourself. There is a ton of courses on LinkedIn, on Coursera, on Udemy, on GA4, on AdWords for minimal costs that absolutely would provide you with some insight on what the questions you should be asking and what you should be inspecting on their work. So for instance, how familiar are they with navigating GA4? Can they show you what a conversion looks like, what a conversion should look like? Those are questions you need to ask, but you also need to know yourself, what does a conversion look like, to be able to inspect it, to see that, oh yeah, okay, yeah, you know what you're talking about. Now I know what has been said to me when I've given this advice to stores in the past is, well, if I learn how to do it, why do I need the marketing manager? Because you don't have time to do that. You don't have time to market that shit. Make the time to educate yourself so that you can inspect what they're doing and be knowledgeable enough to have a good, frank, open conversation about the results that they're giving you. But lean on them to be your SME, your subject matter expert, when making those decisions about how to spend the marketing dollars. You give them a budget, they stay within budget, you look at the results, you meet weekly, bi-weekly, whatever works for you, and you view the results, you make shifts as needed. But you really need to, as the business owner and or general manager, you need to educate yourself on navigating through those reports so you can ask those very educated questions to your digital marketing manager, digital marketing consultant, and do the best for your business. So spend that extra time initially up front so that you can have the best person for the job in the long run. I mean, I can give you all the questions to ask them, but at the end of the day, if the answers, I mean, I could make a 3-hour video on all the questions and answers you can ask them, but at the end of the day, you're the one that actually has to live with that decision. So take the time to educate yourself, and I'm not talking you need to go learn how to set up Google UTM tags. I'm not talking about any of that shit. I'm talking about you can take a basic GA4 knowledge test that's 4 hours out of an entire month and edge it for $15 on Udemy, or for $40 a month on Coursera, or for $32 a month on LinkedIn Learning, and give yourself some 10,000 foot view education on how to navigate through a Google Analytics report, how to navigate through a campaign in Google AdWords, how to look at an OTT report, to know what the video completion rate means, to know why click-through rate isn't that big of a deal on social, to know those different metrics and why they're important or why they're not important. Because that's your business. At the end of the day, that's your name on the front of the building, or whatever you want to look at it. That's your name on the title to that business. You are ultimately responsible for the results that your store pitches out. So like you would inspect what your desk managers do, and your finance managers, your service managers, and so on and so forth, you also need to inspect what your digital marketing manager does. And I'm not talking about someone who just knows how to post on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and make great videos. I'm talking about someone who can actually navigate through reports and give you valuable insight. I see here that we are not getting the engagement we need on this particular vehicle, on this particular ad. I say we pull that one back because we only have one in stock, and we put it on these vehicles, or we switch our focus from new to used because we don't have a lot of new vehicles coming in. So educate yourself. That's my challenge for this week. Educate yourself to make the best decisions for your business, and so that you can hire the right digital marketing manager or digital marketing consultant. And then you can also ask educated questions and be able to read reports and know what you're reading. And so you're not just reliant on that person 100% and hoping to God they're giving you valuable information. Anyway, that's my 2 cents for this week. Thanks for watching. Happy selling.